tape right now because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden is the best Biden ever.
So we talked about this before, people with the plastic foods. Remember we showed the lady with the plastic banana and the watermelon that are being sold at Whole Foods and places like that. Well, guess what? According to Alison Steinberg, she says Bill Gates and World Economic Forum backed a peel. Have you heard of this stuff?
No.
It's being sprayed on produce. This toxic coating cannot be washed off. Be sure to look out for the label next time you are in the grocery store. What? Are you really? A peel can't be washed off, much like Bill Gates' kiss. Come on, am I right? So don't you remember your grandmother would put plastic covers on the furniture? And then they would only take it off when really important company came over. Do you remember that?
Yes.
It's not that these companies hate us. They just don't want us to get their food dirty. We're just not important enough to them to have real fun. We're like a dog. We have to eat like a dog chew. That's how these companies... Well, here's the report.
PSA for anyone going to the grocery store. Yes, even natural health food stores. Next time you're in the produce aisle, please be on the lookout for this label. And whatever you do, do not go near it. A peel, or Edapeel, is a World Economic Forum and Bill Gates funded product that is being sprayed on fruits and vegetables, which are on the verge of spoiling, so that they appear fresh and last longer. Even more frightening is the fact that a peel has been approved for use on USDA organic produce under the name Organapeel. The main ingredient found in the apeel coating is mono and diglycerides, which are extracted from grapeseed oil. This is then processed with the use of two solvents, which are ethyl acetate and heptane, both of which are hazardous chemicals known to seriously damage internal organs in the case of repeated exposure. This coating cannot be washed off. Additionally, the World Health Organization's International Agency for Research on Cancer, or IARC, recognized glycidol, another name for these same ingredients, as, quote, probably carcinogenic to humans. So why are they spraying this literal poison on our food? Well, ironically, the apeel coating is generally recognized as safe, meaning the safety review was completed by the food and chemical industry as opposed to the FDA. Not that they're at all better. And while the approval process for these toxic solvents are rather unclear, one thing is for certain. Apeel should be kept far, far away from our food supply. The ability of this $2 billion Bill Gates-backed startup to just quietly slip in to extend the life of food with absolutely zero proof of preserving any nutritional value should remind every American of the importance of eating organic, local, and chemical-free food. But if the evidence here isn't enough to convince you, take a look at what apeel allegedly does to the food itself.
When she opens it and she breaks it in half, it gets very tough and doesn't really break. And when it pulls, it's like it's glue.
Like, it's not even breaking, like, at all. Like, it, and I know you guys can't feel the texture, Avi, right, because of the video, but, like, it literally feels fake.
Is it clear yet? The tyrannical globalists will stop at nothing to completely railroad anyone trying to live a wholesome, healthy life. They'll do anything to try and kill off the resistors who refuse to align with their dystopian, dismal future, where you'll be forced to eat bugs and own nothing and be happy. It's time to start growing your own food or buying food from your local farmer's market if you don't already. These megalomaniacs are on a mission to destroy all that is good in this life, and we absolutely cannot let them win.
Oh, she's got chutzpah.
So the food doesn't break, but after 2 months, you can use it as tire sealant. Isn't that nice?
Ah.
Well, here's what this guy is Lane Kilpatrick. He's a registered pharmacist who goes by at hormone specialist on Instagram and TikTok. And here's what he has to say.
The biggest mysteries in the organic produce world right now is how did the new apeel coating, with financial backing from Bill Gates get approved for use on organic produce. You'll see these appeal stickers on lots of produce items now. It means the produce has a coating on it that seals it up tight against anything getting in or out, preserves it longer, like the introduction of the refrigerator. Great, but what's in this coating? Well, it seems to be shrouded in mystery. The product intended to be organic, listed as Organapeel, is registered with the EPA as a pesticide with a rather short and cryptic ingredient list. Active ingredient, citric acid at 0.66%. Other ingredients, not named, 99.34%. And that's 100%. Great, it's all accounted for. Maybe it's listed that way because citric acid could qualify as organic if it's not from a synthetic source. But what about the other 99.34%? Because I'm supposed to eat this coating. Oh, and get this, the EPA requires this caution on the label. Wash thoroughly with soap and water after handling and before eating. The certificate the Organic Material Review Institute issued to it that approved its use on organics lists it as a fungicide with no ingredient specified. I'm not sure what that's based on, but this is starting to smell. It reeks of influence peddling. And the antiseptic for that smell is always sunlight with a liberal splash of transparency. I don't know about you, but I'm finding appeal rather unappealing. I don't think I'll dip my produce in this.
This is mental. This is mental. Is there any more evil stuff that Bill Gates is What is this? What is going on with this Bill Gates? This is mental. Does this scare you at all?
Yeah, it does. It's like everything that guy touches turns to poison, our system, everything. How is this guy allowed to walk free?
It's a fungicide? Misha, where do you get your vegetables? Did you know about this? You haven't?
Somebody was mentioning that they're seeing a lot of appeal labels at Costco, but I don't shop at Costco.
I don't go to Costco either. But what about, so now what makes me afraid is when I eat at a restaurant. Are they going to have appeal stuff in restaurants?
Well, it seems like they're inedible. The appeal stuff, not always.
No, people are obviously people are eating it. What do you mean? People aren't just buying vegetables at Costco and then taking it home for display. Remember that?
Ah, okay.
This is gross.
And how does this stuff continue to be approved?
Well, they said the FDA didn't approve it. They said it was some Food and Chemical Association. Shouldn't the FDA have to approve this?
What's the point of the FDA then?
Again, we're ruled by criminals, and you do not live in a democracy. If we lived in a democracy, yeah, there'd be someone there to make sure that this. But the FDA works for the companies. They don't work for the citizens. That's the problem. Holy cow. Okay, over to Steph.
All right. Thank you, Jimmy. All right, let me open this up. All right, was that story 7? Okay. That was story 7, Jimmy. If you served less than 2 years as vice president becomes president, you can then serve 2 full terms 8 years after that. Sonic Warhol, thank you for that, Sonic Warhol. Much appreciated. The Jimmy Dore Show is guilty of malicious mischief and scientific heresy like the original Planet of the Apes. Sparky, 63. Thank you, Sparky. Kamala and Kushner, 24, Sparky, 63. Make Israel Syria again. In those Ottoman Empire days, Levant Jews got along fine with their neighbors, whether Muslim, Christian, or otherwise. Sparky, thank you for that, Sparky. What's this one called? Wash hands with soap and water after handling. Hannah, sir. Steph, I sent a Rockfin last week, but it was after the switch to Rumble. You didn't see it. Sherelle, I'm going to go back in my email and I'm going to look for it, Sherelle. All right, go back. Rumble. This one. Wash hands with soap and water after handling. And this one is, welcome to my world. I have Crohn's disease. All the food is poison. Emp 81. And okay, I read that one from Sirloin Beef of 6671. All right. So, Jimmy, I'm all wrapped with my things. How are you doing?
Give me a minute.
A minute. Oh, boy. Okay, here we go. More of the book. Let's go. You know how I feel about the introductory notes. So, the schedule for the Democratic National Convention speakers released just hours before the announcement of VP pick listed Kamala Harris as speaking in a separate time slot from vice presidential pick. This was almost declaring she would not be selected. Harris was reported to have unfollowed Joe Biden on Twitter just a few hours before the announcement was made as well. When the news finally came that Harris had been selected, many were quite perplexed. She had seemed like the obvious pick months ago. Why the delays? Why the last-minute scrambling? Why the incorrect Democratic National Convention schedule? Why had Karen Bass been raised from obscurity only to be roundly condemned as a communist sympathizer? It is clear some negotiations had taken place. Last-minute deals were made. Joe Biden's arm was twisted. A rival from the Democratic Party race who had blasted him as being supportive of school segregation was now his running mate. Kamala Harris had even said on the campaign trail that she believed the allegations that Joe Biden was a sexual predator. Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, what was the change of heart? Let's see what this comment says. Sent this on Thursday, but it was missed. Happy birthday wishes to Jimmy and best wishes to you and Steph for the coming year. Jimmy Dore, fans fomenting community. Thank you so much. Gates and company feel about the global useless class the same way Adolf's party felt about Jews, commies, etc. Or how Israel feels about Palestinians. Hannah, sir, thank you so much. All right. Thank you for those comments, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. That one just come in. Let's see here. I can live in a world without fur and cleavage, but I refuse to live in a world without Steph cleavage, Leaky Bell. I know. Sorry about that today. Right? Covering them up. All right. Let's go on. Let's see. All right. We'll see what we can do, Leaky Bowel Syndrome. Catchy handle. Catchy. Yet Joe Biden was a sexual predator. Yet all of this was water under the bridge. Kamala Harris was Joe Biden's running mate, the Democratic Party's nominee for vice president. So what was going on behind the scenes? Who was pushing for Kamala? Who was desperately opposing her? Where does Kamala Harris come from? And what does it teach us about American politics in our time? These are the questions that will be answered in this short book. Wow. Who's a good girl? Betsy is. Give that kid a cookie. Oh, BC, she is such a good girl. She likes to tear up furniture, though. That's all right. Okay, I read that one. Thank you so much. The queen of mass incarceration, Kamala did rather poorly in Democratic primary. Her personality and record doesn't really appeal to U.S. voters, especially in swing states. Biden needs to win. The most damning moment for Kamala's 2020 presidential campaign came on July 31st, 2019. Rival candidate Tulsi Gabbard used her limited time during a debate to highlight Kamala's record as a criminal prosecutor. Now, what's really interesting about that, I was on the plane today and I was watching this coverage. TMZ was doing some coverage, and they were saying that the facts that Tulsi Gabbard threw out during that debate were incorrect. Really interesting. Really interesting because they couldn't tell you what the facts were that were incorrect. And I'm going to follow up and discuss. Like she gave one number of statistics, and then she gave examples of what she did when she was a prosecuting attorney. So, anyways, interesting. So she said, here's the facts. I'm concerned about the record of Senator Harris. She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. Both of those facts are easy. And she fought to keep the cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way. So what were the facts that they had an issue with here? All right, back to Jimmy.
So we get these fact check labels when we post our videos to Facebook, and it's mostly when we were covering COVID or the vaccines or ivermectin or anything like that. They would have these, I think factcheck.org would put this, this has been misleading, and here's a big 5,000-page article we wrote about how Jimmy Dore is misleading, and of course I never was. Is Facebook in big trouble? It's been discovered that Facebook COVID vaccine fact checkers are funded by vaccine companies. Who'd have guessed it? Now, I knew this because I looked up who was actually funding factcheck.org when they would do these bogus fact checks of our stuff. And of course, they'd never interview me. They never give me a chance to. They would always twist what I was saying. Most of them were they didn't like my headline. It's like, the headline is misleading. They never said any fact I got wrong. They're just, and I'm like, well, who is funding factcheck.org? I found out that all their health fact checks, that factcheck.org, it's all funded by the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. Johnson & Johnson, a grant from them. So these fact check organizations, there's billionaire money somewhere. And these fact check organizations aren't there to check facts. They're there to push a political point of view and an agenda and to discredit people. And so watch this report.
And the Foundation's views aren't necessarily reflected in its decisions. But author and liberal studies expert Michael Rechtenwald believes...
So this is what I found out. There's the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. They fund the science checks for COVID-19 vaccination project, made possible by a grant from the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. The views expressed here did not necessarily reflect the views of the foundation. Not necessarily. So Johnson & Johnson, through the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, is funding Facebook's fact checkers, which is factcheck.org. Do you remember Snopes? The head of Snopes had to resign. Remember that fact checking? Which is just a pro-Democrat. The guy who ran it had to step down because he was a serial plagiarist. Anybody who wants to get in a fact-checking thing, that's always should be a red flag. So let's watch this.
And the Foundation's views aren't necessarily reflected in its decisions. But author and liberal studies expert Michael Rechtenwald believes such connections pose risks to the public.
This is absolute collusion on the part of vaccine manufacturers having funding the fact checkers on social media. So we're actually getting to the point where people's lives are being endangered. We've lost all confidence in the social media and our mainstream media entirely. Anything that comes into contradiction with the leftist agenda is deemed misinformation. People are now not able to get information about what's best for their health, including the detriments of the vaccine.
So, of course, we know that the vaccine is super safe and effective, and the FDA and the CDC still recommend it. So I don't know what that guy's talking about. But vaccines are wonderful, especially the COVID one. And sure, there are side effects, but they are rare. Rare. How do you define rare? Well, how do you define a vaccine? They changed it. So I just want people to know that factcheck.org. Let me see. Can you take the camera off me for a second and put it on Steph's empty chair? Okay. Let me take a look at something. Okay. All right, you can come back to me. So that, just so you know, the fact-checking organizations, according to that guy, is in collusion with Big Pharma. So, yeah. Okay, that's what's Steph doing? Oh yeah, so let's go to a break. We'll be right back. Miracle Sleepy. Hey, guess what? It's a miracle. Sleepy Joe woke up and realized he has cognitive performance of a goldfish. I guess there's some things even the world's best coffee can't fix. So in honor of what used to be and what will soon become again, let us finally forget about Joe and raise a cup to you. Not one filled with the... Come on, I can't read this shit.
Well, you're going to have to start again if you say that.
Okay. They're trying to write comedy for me here. Right? Can I just do this myself? Okay. Okay. Hey, guess what? You know Rumble has their coffee. It's called 1775 coffee. And, if you buy their coffee, it goes to help support Rumble, which is supporting free speech. That's the important thing. And so you don't want to get coffee from a giant corporation that wants to kill you. So get coffee from, have a cup of coffee filled with Rumble's very own freedom fighting, best tasting 1775 coffee. Try Rumble's 1775 coffee on a subscription, and it'll save 40% off your first bag today. Wow. Support freedom of speech and build a parallel economy that actually values you. Go to 1775coffee.com/Dore. That's Dore. 1775coffee.com/Dore right now and pick up your first bag. Use the code DORE, that's DORE, to save 40% off your first subscription order. And I'm just waiting for them to make a decaf because that's what I drink. Okay. I believe having a substantial percentage of my financial future secured with gold and silver. You know this. That's why I decided to partner with our sponsor, Colonial Metals Group. They helped me set up a safe and secured self-directed IRA where I have access to my assets no matter what the stock market or, for that matter, what the government's doing. Let the team of experts at Colonial Metals Group help you protect your family's future. We put together a special offer for our audience. Click on the link in the description below or call a special 800 number and you'll receive a safe and up to 10 grand in silver. What's that 800 number? Not on here. It'll show right there. Hey, the ability to provide your family, the ability to provide for your, the ability to provide for your family has changed quite a bit in the last couple of years. When you go shopping, you're getting less but spending the same. You have to decide what to buy and what to do without. And when you get to the checkout, you're swiping that credit card, putting that never-ending cycle of credit card interest accruing every month. So there's got to be a better way. Well, there is a better way. And it's with American Financing. If you're a homeowner, they will take all of that equity that you've built up and use it to pay off high-interest debt. They're saving their customers an average of $854 a month. And they are closing some in fast as 10 days. So start today. You may be able to delay 2 mortgage payments. Call American Financing today. That's 888-804-0303.
His jaw was not moving too.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletter. Just visit
Isn't it swell? The memes make themselves. They found a rabbi hole, tunnels and all. There's Jews in the walls. Isn't it bliss? The rabbinical grace soiling the mattresses. Well, let me tell you. Shut it down. If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle 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 digga digga diddle diddle dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
At this time, more than any other time, you know, revolution is necessary. It is necessary. Not only based on what has happened with the MOVE organization, you know, the babies that have been murdered, you know, MOVE adults that have been murdered, bombs being dropped on us, but past that to what is happening with all black people, so-called minority people, you know, money poor people. You know, this government, as has been said earlier, has waged war on us. But you know, something about us, particularly here in America, we don't really understand that. You know, we don't really know what war is. You know, for black people, for poor people, that people see as good, that they wasn't forced to do, that they didn't do to try to keep black people appeased, you know, and calm down so that black people wouldn't riot. A prison situation is a crystallized example of that. You can make phone calls in prison. They have movies in prison, but they don't have those things because they just want to be nice to prisoners. They have those things because they know damn well if they don't have You know, people being able to contact their family. If they don't have, facilities for people to sit there and watch movies, people are going to be frustrated, upset, and they're going to direct that frustration at them prison administrators. And they're going to have riots on their hands. You know, they're going to have people in them prisons turning them prisons out. That's why they have movies. That's why they have access to phones the way they do. And a stop to it when we don't like it, or encouraging it when it's something that's in our interest. You know, we have to call the shots. The people have to take the reins of this system and start dictating, what we need, what needs to be done. And, taking the initiative to do it ourselves. We can't rely on this system. I mean, don't people see what's happening? Every single confrontation that MOVE people have been involved in, every single issue, oppression, economic issues, every single issue facing our people, is something that can be dealt with very, very simply. All people got to do is make their wishes known. All people have to do is stand up and say, listen, we're not accepting that. Unity is the key. Unity is the key to revolution. Revolution ain't nothing to be afraid of. It ain't nothing to shy away from. Revolution, contrary to what officials, this system and those backing the officials running the system, want people to believe that revolution means violence, means blood in the street. I'm saying it can get to that point, but it don't have to be violent. When people come together and take a strong stand on an issue, this government don't have no choice but to listen. Where you think they get their authority from? They don't have no power, but they do have authority to do certain things. Where you think they get it from? They get it from us, from the people. They get it from us accepting the things that they do to be done to stop it. Then you have some people who want to then turn around and say, yeah, well, it's the best we have, and want to make excuses. The time for excuses is over. It's over. Every man, woman, and child has to be involved in this revolution. Not only has to be, but is, whether you want to be or not. I mean, our babies gave their lives for this revolution on May 13th. Men, women, and children were murdered. And not just MOVE babies. What about all of the young men, women, children 8, 9 years old shot down on the street by cops, by drug pushers? I mean, where do you think that mentality comes from? It comes from this system, from the mentality of this system of getting over, making a quick buck, I'm saying that's where that needs to be done to stop it. Then, what I want people to really, really understand is that it's past time. It is past time for poor people, black people, to realize that this system has failed you. It has failed you. You can't get nothing from it. And what people got to do is withdraw our support from it and start doing for ourselves. That's what we got to do. How long are people going to sit back and beg, this government to do what's right when for hundreds of years, all you've gotten is a slap in the face. All you've gotten is this government kicking your ass. That's all. That's all black people have ever gotten from this government.